Hello and welcome to the Crystal Core Radio, episode 100. That's right. We're celebrating with two incredible content creators as well as Chris. I gave the incredible title to Rook and to Larry, but Chris is here too. I love him.
Welcome to episode 100.
Larry and Rook.
I'm actually
inside
of one of his headphones right now.
Yeah.
That's
Chris
what
is
this
here
is.
too,
The
I
white
guess.
surrounding. I live inside of one of his headphones.
It's see, you can preview it right there in the thing. So, guys, thanks so much for making the time today to come talk to us, especially as we get ready for Endwalker. We've all got the ability to play it. Rook's been crushing it with some content. For any kind of just as a pre-show, being that we kind of been doing these roundtables, these light parties, if you will. I'm going to go to Rook. Give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. Where can people find you? And then let's go to Larry after that. Rook.
Sure, absolutely. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here with both of you, two content creators I love and admire. As for myself, you can find me all over the internet, typically Twitch, YouTube, or on the two podcasts I do. Bird of Chess is the current name, but very, very soon the channel is going to be switching over to Rookery. I've been saying very soon for the entirety of the past month. So, take that with a grain of salt in the time measurement scale there. But in theory, very soon we are switching over everything with a whole bunch of new features and other stuff that's coming too, which just made it take a little bit longer. I stream live on Twitch. On YouTube, I'm also Bird of Chess, and then you can find me co-hosting the Aetherite Radio podcast, which you are very familiar with, Brian, as well as on the Lightbringers podcast for Guild Wars 2. So if anybody's ever curious, we talk a lot of lore. We talk a lot about what we love in the game. We have a lot of critical discussions, but usually trying to balance out the salt on the internet and create a space that everybody feels welcome in and can enjoy while engaging with the things they love.
Well said. Larry, what are you up to, sir? Where can people find you?
Hello, I'm Larry. Thank you for having me, and congrats on 100. That's crazy.
Woo!
Well, I'm. You can find me on stuff. Larry Zor on YouTube and Twitter and stuff like that. I'm also an evil Tataru tinfoil hat enthusiast. I'm very into those theories of Tataru being the main villain of Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker, and I'm sure that will come. Yes, that will come to fruition, and we will know on Friday. Thank you.
You feel like you're going to find out on Friday? How much are you planning on playing Friday?
Maybe Sunday. Usually it takes me 3 days, right? So yeah, Sunday. But then I will know for sure.
But before I toss to Chris, it is a bigger expansion. The biggest one
maybe
we've got
Monday
so far.
Right, Monday. We'll add it.
My wife has approved 3 days. She's approved 3 days, and I'm like,
and he wants to do it on Reaper. Just to add 10 more.
Wait, what? Oh, you gotta add a couple hours there.
or maybe I know how to level.
Yeah, you can do it pretty quick.
60 hours estimated, plus 10 levels, and he's got 72 hours if he doesn't sleep, use the restroom, or eat.
You're good to go.
Yeah,
I don't really see a problem.
Yeah, it's don't look at me. You might not see a video on Monday, or at least me on camera. Man, Brian looks horrible.
That's a huge delay for Brian.
Yeah, it was
24 hours without a post from Brian.
That actually is pretty rare in that regards. Chris, dude, where can people find you? What you up to, man?
I am uploading stuff to Gaming Kinda Reacts and Gaming Kinda on Facebook. The month of December, I'm going to swing for the most posts I've ever had go live. So across those 3 channels, it'll be something absurd. If you instead want more dense quality content, Rook did a phenomenal job with her lore content on the media tour. It was amazing. And Larry, the level of knowledge you must have about this game to make things funny is astounding. My wife's coworkers, she just left her job after like 10 years to go to a new one. So we had these happy hours and stuff to say goodbye to all these people that are like, I've met their spouses, I've been in their homes, they've been in mine, to kind of say farewell to this chapter. And they're like, you're playing video games now, so you must be really good at games. I was like, I'm really not.
Yeah.
So when I watched Larry's content, I was like, he made so light of that. I cannot imagine the wealth of knowledge that has to come behind those jokes. So excited to be here for episode 100.
You just got to play the game for a very long time. And right.
The best part about it for me is when people get mad at Larry for the joke and they don't realize it is a joke. They try to then
very common.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, your tier list. We meme on tier lists. Like that was a whole thing.
People thought that
going
was real. Yeah.
Oh, well, all the time. Like,
Mhm.
what is a real tier list? That's our view. This like my whole time.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Chris takes it to even an absurd level. And so
I gave every job at Warrior an F in my last one. I gave
Yeah.
Warrior, and somebody goes, "I'm really embarrassed to admit that I made it 12 minutes into this before I realized you were joking."
The internet takes everything very seriously. No jokes
Yeah.
allowed, except for when they want jokes and expect jokes, in which case then it's fine. But
it's so funny that we speak of the internet like it's a being, right?
It is
Because it's
being.
obvious.
He's a
It's
jerk.
obviously what's up?
He's a jerk.
I believe that
internet.
the internet is a primal made out
Oh.
of the salt and fervent prayers of everyone using it. And unfortunately,
God.
it
We've all
has
been
a
tempered
will of
by
its own.
And we've all been tempered by it. Yeah. So get some
absolutely.
porksies so we can sit here and cure it. Delete your Twitter if you haven't already, but if you're going to be stubborn, you can follow me over at Del Monte Bean. You can follow Work to Game, Larry Czar, and Rook. All their links and socials will be in the description of this video, but you should really just delete Twitter. The CEO is resigning. I think it's a perfect time to make that announcement again. We got a couple people to thank. I want to thank them at the top of the show, making this possible. Be Righteous, actually just hitting the member button, joining the podcast legends, Plague D, Redline Gamer, Red Rocket, Dark Wolf, Psycho, Cordell, WG Productions, and Keeneland89, as well as Luke for helping fund these shows. I think at the end of the day, if anybody's been running a podcast knows that hosting fees, all of that stuff adds up. This has always just been a passion project for me. Obviously 100 episodes and maybe I have an addiction, but at the end of the day, it's still really great that we've got great friends that are willing to share their time and their opinions about this amazing game. And also that people are willing to help kind of cover the costs of the show itself. So I appreciate everybody. You all rock. We've got less than 3 days before we're finally back in Endwalker, and it's been a long journey. I'd like to go to Rook. The floor is yours. You've played it. Like, do you want to talk about your plans for day one? Do you want to talk about just your content schedule? Do you want to talk about what you're expecting? You want to talk about how Tataru is, the granddaughter of Xenos? And
Aren't you
Yes,
playing
and-
Seeds Turtles today? You have a lot to balance.
Oh, there's so much happening this week. I cannot even handle it all between the different MMOs that I play. We've got 2 expansions, major expansions coming up. So my life is basically just like, okay, well, what am I going to schedule? When will I eat? I don't know, but we're figuring it out. So
yeah,
yes, actually today I did prepare in honor of Larry an entire dissertation on why Tataru is the villain in Final Fantasy XIV. No, I'm kidding. I wish I had. I did not, but maybe someday I will just for you. There's so much, right? I mean, it's so funny hearing you even say when we will be back in Endwalker is a surreal experience because yes, all of us went to the media tour. I was so grateful that we all had that opportunity. And it was weird. This was my first one. So it's weird hopping in to play the game and then having them be like, nope, and just take it away from you. And you're sitting there like, but hold on, I just spent 20 minutes setting up all my hotbars for Reaper. Why can't I play it now? It's one of those things where it feels so funny to get that preview, which has been really exciting, but you also are just so ready to play it. So I mean, story is the big thing for me in this game. I love talking about it. I love breaking it down. I love doing the lore videos that I got to do for the media tour and even more that I've been working on. And all kinds of other projects that dovetail off of the inspiration the story gives me. So for me, first and foremost, I'm going to be playing the story, and then I will be streaming. I'm going to be recording all of my off-stream reactions to the MSQ, and then coming on those first 2 couple days just to do some like non-spoiler, leveling stuff, leveling up the new classes. Eventually get to early dungeons, but it's such a special experience to get to go through that story and, play it. It's something that I know a lot of people treasure. So personally, I do it by myself. Otherwise, it'll take me 50 million years to get through it because I'm talking with everybody and yelling about my feelings too much. And then we put it up directly and then we talk about it in retrospect. So that's my number one goal. Just do the story and get to experience it because I am just so ready. I'm just so ready.
what about you, Larry?
Well, you kind of blew my mind when you said it's less than 3 days. I thought we had another 3 days. We don't. I only have 2 more days of work, and then it's Friday, right?
Right.
So yeah, oof. I gotta finish up quite a bit of stuff before Friday then. But anyway, Yeah, I mean, our plan, we have a tradition. Me and my wife like to go through it together, and then we have two of our other close friends that we do. So we'll go through the story together, and then when we reach a dungeon, we'll hit each other up and go join up and do the dungeon, and then we proceed along like that. So we'll be doing that all weekend. To which I will also record. I record the dungeons. I might also record the story reaction. I did not do that for Shadowbringers. And I regret not doing that because there was a lot of really awesome reveals that would have been great to like relive, like go back and watch it again. So like that's a big part of why, because the reason why I do a lot of the raid videos and stuff that I do is because I like to be able to go back and relive memories that I play with my static, because we've been playing together for so long. So I'd like to just, you know, compile all of that and have that for the years to come. So I'll be doing that. I'll probably have like a dungeon video, the EX trials, and then the story, which I will probably put out like a monthly after or something, which is a really good thing about this whole community, is we're so good about not spoiling stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're so good about that. And I love that about us. So
you get flogged. Like there is like a public, you know, kind of walk of shame. It's like, all right, what are you doing over there?
Yeah. We're so good about it. So yeah, so that's the plan, like immediately. And then I have like a week or two to like finish that stuff up, and then you know, go do Christmas things. So, and during the Christmas time, I can't play, unfortunately. I probably would like to if I could.
Do you think that's going to set you back at all? Because the Savage stuff doesn't actually drop until the New Year's.
Yeah, it's probably fine. It's not really a big deal. I mean, maybe like in terms of having more jobs, because usually I like to get a whole bunch of jobs that I really want, like right in the beginning is usually what I do, right? I go through on Summoner. I do Summoner first, and then after that, I'll do like Black Mage, Red Mage, a tank and a healer type of thing. So I'd probably like to have the first 4 or 5. It's 5 role quests now, right? So the 5 different role quests, to be able to do that like right away is probably going to be my first goal in the game, along with the EX trials, because we do that right away too.
Yeah, those drop. So you'll have that. The normal raid version will be out 2 weeks, which will impact people over the Christmas holidays. And then 2 weeks after that, January 4th, we get the Savage raid, and then it's all in, games out, you know, full on to 6-1, and who knows what the future of Yoshi P will share with us. That's something he teased. That's a lot of the subtext.
I haven't even thought about that. This is it. Like, I mean, I guess I did think about that, but we literally will know the end.
We will have
Shadowbringers shuts off 3 a.m. Thursday. We have like less than 30 hours to enjoy whatever you want from Shadowbringers before we are in the finale.
It's the end of the story. I keep forgetting, like, because every expansion, it's not like that, right? So this one is. It's so weird.
I mean, it was even just amazing at the media tour, hearing him talk about how much bigger this is supposed to be than the other expansions we've had. And when you think about it, and when I've heard anybody talking about, you know, the release of this expansion or the delays that we had, which really, given the pandemic and everything else, were really not that bad, considering that this is a 10-year story summary, 11-year, 10-year story summary that's supposed to bring together this entire arc, wrap it up somehow, and then also introduce us as we get into the patch cycle and stuff to a whole new saga. And when you think about that, I mean, I can't even imagine just how much of a beast this has been for them to try and figure out how they want to wrap this up in a satisfying way, especially from a team that really has done a great job of over the years keeping track of all of those little pins that they've put in, all the little story things that they call back to or will bring back up again. And we know that they really want to do this. I mean, you're playing the 1.0 trailer right now, and literally that just went up.
They're just went up.
Why?
Why?
Silver tier is my guess that it has something to do with that, but
they're reminding us about it. Yeah, like Midgardsormr and Silver tier story stuff. Yeah.
I mean, this is their equivalent of you posting your raid highlight there. Like, this is their chance to look back. They've been taking pictures along the way. We're the morons that didn't bring cameras, and they're taking a look back through the photo album. Like, you have to imagine this is emotional for them too.
It definitely is. Yes, very emotional.
Especially now being at this point where they have more players than ever. I mean, it's so funny. I've had so many people ask me while we've been streaming, you know, what's it like at an expansion release? Are they usually pretty good at being like stable, or is it going to be a disaster? And I've just had to say to people, I mean, Shadowbringers was the smoothest launch of an expansion I've ever experienced in an MMO. It was incredibly on point. It was so well done. And I just keep saying, I'm like, this may not be that experience, but not because they don't care or they aren't attentive or they haven't in the past shown that they really know how to scale what they need, but rather just because the game is so successful now. And due to many other factors in the world and a shifting of player base from other MMOs to 14 and just the heights of this story and the amount of people giving it a try, we have an unprecedented amount of players. And I mean, even just watching Yoshida-san talk about or look back on literally the year that they spent rebuilding this game because it was such a massive failure. They literally couldn't even keep it running. So they faced this path of like, do we either try to overhaul this and create a new future for the game, or do we just shut our doors? And to be here now with these problems, so many players, they don't even know how to handle it. Like, I mean, an unprecedented expansion on the horizon. It's such a special thing as a player, but I can only imagine for them, it's got to be a huge milestone in this whole project.
For me, it's kind of surreal when we look at, it's out for 11 years that we're watching the trailer behind us kind of playing, and the fact that they dropped it, redropped it, because I was actually looking for the trailer on the official site just before it went live. And I posted a video, just kind of, I've been doing these like what if series. If you guys haven't seen those yet, honestly, the reception to them has been really great. I told Chris, it's like an interesting way to post a thought experiment without getting kind of nerd rage, gamer rage. Because typically it's like, oh, what if it was like this? People come in and be like, this is the 100 reasons why you suck. But then the what if series is kind of playing off of what, Marvel's, kind of thing. And it ends up being like, yeah, what if Yoshi P didn't reborn? What if he did decide that they were going to invest in the core 1.0 system and try to remake it and update it from there? And it's like, oh, let's just play around with that space. But anyway, I used footage from the trailer, found somebody who had it posted, and that was really quite nice. I was like, oh man. And then as the video goes up, then all of a sudden they drop it, and a lot of people are just messaging me, I'm going to sleep, waking up, to all of these theories about why did they do it. And Chris, you said hype, which I think it's the most logical answer
for the timing. Yeah. Why not sooner? It's hype.
But there's still something about the Battle of Silver Tier Skies. There's something about watching this in relation to then the 2.0 and 3.0 and 4.0 and 5.0 trailers. Like when we look at how this game has evolved with time, not just in terms of the game and the story, but also the community, and how that we're sitting here and it's been 11 years, 11 years to overnight success in that regards. It's a common phrase I know Chris likes to talk about, where like, how do you become a success? It's like, well, somebody doesn't just become a success. You don't do all these things. And what 14 has that I think a lot, and where, let's say, just to contrast this with World of Warcraft, is that 14's had a lot of failures. It's had a lot of struggle. It's had a lot of issues. The thing that I think is really key is that it didn't let those issues define it. It learned from those issues, and it then has now set itself up to where it's like we've been playing fundamental baseball. Now that not only do we have our foundation set, but we've got the building and we're ready to go. And so that when I look at the future, like we were just talking about briefly with Endwalker, with Yoshi P going to talk to us, him saying they've got a new 10-year plan. He's going to talk to us about the future of this game after Endwalker releases. So I'm assuming sometime in early 2022, that it's a whole different ball game. Like they haven't even played their biggest cards. Like the game isn't on Xbox. It isn't on GeForce Now. It isn't on when we start talking about like future platforms. Like no other MMO can do what 14 is doing. And 14 hasn't even like it. So its road to Xbox is much shorter than World of Warcraft's road to console, or, Guild Wars 2 road to console for some weird reason. And Rook, back me up. Like, I don't know where you stand on controller support native for that game, but
I mean, it's It's baffling to me because to me, between if you're looking at Final Fantasy XIV or Guild Wars 2, Guild Wars 2 is a game that feels and looks and it seems as though it was literally designed for controller. And it's very funny to me that it's not on anything else. And then when you look at like Final Fantasy XIV, which comes from more of a background again, and they've talked a lot about the influence that like WoW set as a precedent in the MMO genre, right? The fact that they, from going back to 11 to now, have adapted what is otherwise not really a super friendly, you would think, interface for controllers as far as the huge blocks of abilities and all these different things. And yet they've adapted it in a way that works really well and is really smooth. So yeah, at this point for me, I'm like, there's no excuse. You put your games on all the different platforms, especially if they're MMOs. Let people play them. People they want to group up. They don't want to be separated. So yeah, I mean, I agree.
I mean, you still have like slash Beacon and slash Beaver, but there are still moments where you were reminded, like, don't play with controller. It's like, oh
man,
snailing. Do you know how to spell that? Because we made it up. And so, like, there are still times that occasionally I'm like, they know keyboard is master race. Like, they are 100% like, I mean, we'll let you play with us, but snailing.
Well, but I mean, the thing is that's so amazing to me is that if you have different forms of accessibility for people, whether it's a comfort thing, a preference thing, or it's literally that, like, I know so many people that have to use controllers for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, of course, I think there's always going to be more control if you have more buttons and can do more things simultaneously, right? But to streamline an experience where people can play with a controller, it's like, and people do, and they raid and they do all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I hope that, like, you know, Steam keeps coming back with, they had that Steam controller for a while that adapted so many games, and I hope they really keep pushing forward with that. And now they've got, you know, their new handheld device. So ways that, like, everything from the actual services, platforms, things themselves, to the actual companies working with different platforms and adapting the game for things like controllers. I think it's just important for all MMOs at this point to me. I guess I can kind of get it if you're in like a competitive shooting game, and yes, the precision you can get it as a sniper on keyboard and whatever. I'm like, it's fine. But in almost anything else, I just sit there like, just do it. Let them play how they want to play.
Yeah.
That's like such an accessibility strength that 14 has. And then Yoshi P talking about the future of trusts at some point. He's going to have that conversation. There's so many things that Endwalker, I think, is being able to put that bookend, that all of a sudden Yoshi P's like, okay, great. Now that is, you know, in the books, let's look forward to the future. Now, I got to know from Larry's perspective, how hard has it been playing Summoner since playing Summoner?
Like over the years of like how Summoner has changed.
I was thinking since you played it in Endwalker, because it's like I've been dipping my toe into it, and it's so difficult for me. But anyway, however you want to interpret the question, go for it.
I mean, I actually still like Summoner in its current iteration too. I think it's fine. I mean, I played it this whole expansion and I liked it. But yeah, like, you know, going from the from the Mediator Summoner, and now I have to go back and raid and play current Summoner, like try to optimally play it right in a raid scenario. It just makes me sad. I'm like, I could be doing so much cooler things, right? It could feel so much better. But it's fine. I kind of treated it as a last hurrah to Summoner, because essentially this version of Summoner, even though it is very different from how it started even back in No Realm Reborn, it's still essentially the same core job. It's the same core loop of having dots and going through and building up to the primal summons, right? Mm-hmm. So I just treat it as a last hurrah and just enjoy it and enjoy the dots, enjoy having this janky pet AI. I just, you know, relish in it, right? And that's kind of how, if you wanted to be a Summoner main, that's kind of how you had to play Summoner this whole time, was you like pain a little bit. Maybe you're a little bit of a masochist and you like that it's difficult and annoying to play it, right? So, you know, that's probably a big part of it. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. And we recently actually just cleared E12S, so I don't have to do it anymore.
Ooh, congrats.
Thank you.
We
got the world last clear. And usually what ends up happening
I'm
is
still working on it.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
on MP2.
Well, you can get it. Do you have more raid days before Endwalker?
Yeah, I'm scheduled for like 3 a.m. tonight. I'm taking the slots that are available with raiders.
You got it.
I will tell you, they are nothing but the primo hours. All the best hours are available between here and the servers going offline. people that can help me out are like, I mean, I guess I'm available at like 4 a.m. Well, who's not? Like, who
Wouldn't be.
why would you have
What do you
something
mean?
planned for these
I
hours?
have a conflict at 4 a.m.
Right? Yeah.
I got a carpet cleaner coming in. It's kind of loud.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I can't remember. Larry, were we on the same media tour day? I think maybe we were
I
different.
think we.
No.
I think. Were we? No. I think you were
No.
the day before me.
But I
was
have
the
to
second
say,
day.
it was really important for me because I've never played Summoner. So I tried. I actually started as Summoner at the start of the game in my head, and I'm not ashamed of this. I was like, I want to be Yuna, so I will play Summoner. And then I started playing Summoner, and like you said, it wasn't like dancing on the water to honor the dead. It was like, wow, this makes me suffer inside a little bit. And
Yeah.
where are all the cool friends that I get to summon that are made out of ether? So I never really got into it. And then later I ended up kind of dabbling a little bit more. I got all my classes to 80, so I had to do some stuff, you know? But I was really looking to base the metric, not off of my own knowledge, because I didn't really have any, but off of you and how good the dong was for Summoner. And so I remember actively looking as the media tour was happening and people were chatting and stuff for your feedback in real time. And the moment that I saw you say, like, it's a real dong, I was like, that's amazing. Summoner has to be good then. And I felt really good about it. I hope I'm allowed to say that here. Sorry, I mean.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Summoner dong is very important. It's true.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Chris,
a true fact.
You've been spending some time with Summoner, I believe. You want to talk about your experience?
It has been hard to be emotionally invested in Monk or Summoner because in my head, I'm just like, everything I don't like is what's improving. And everything I do like will carry over. And that's just what I've stored as my like perfect version of reality. Like everything that feels good will continue and everything bad is going away. And so like I've just stored that as this like perfect view of reality that won't ever come to exist as I leveled up Monk and Summoner I'm chasing Brian for Omni 90. He's at Omni 80. I won't get to Omni 80 in time for Endwalker, but I will be inside 60 levels. So I'm in the home stretch. I'm bummed I can't fly into Endwalker with an Amaro, but like I was sitting in Zadnor multiple hours a day, and I realized I will get to Omni 80 in time for Endwalker, but unfortunately Final Fantasy XIV will also be uninstalled if I have to sit in Zadnor 7 hours a day. I like Zadnor as content, but people called it Sadnor, and I was like, there is somewhere around like the second to third reset multiple days in a row when you're like, oh, this is Sadnor. I don't want to be here anymore.
When y'all talk like that, like I just realized just how different my MMO like enjoyment is. And it's like the more like I feel like
there are
you know
people that thrive in it.
I do like, and it's just because it's like I hear people complain, and I'm like, I guess I see your point, but like I'm having fun.
Dude, I loved Diadem, right? I loved Eureka, even Pagos. I loved Diadem, but when it was new, I love that shit.
My fondest memory this year is Housing Savage. So like, it's not that there's not something wrong with each one of us.
Right.
No, that's true. I mean, I'm over here, the weird person that everybody's always like, Rook, how many days have you been running dungeon roulettes? And I'm like, I lost count. I like them. I don't know why. I just do the same dungeon roulettes 100 times. I don't need anything. I just like going through the dungeons. Like, that's me too. I mean, Chris, I'll back you up on this in that I actually do really love a lot of the Eureka content and everything. I did find that for whatever reason, Zadnor in particular just got incredibly dull to me. I don't know what it, like, I think it was because the zone was a little bit smaller. There wasn't as much like visually dynamically happening.
It's when Del Reyna sucks half the people out of the zone.
Yeah, it's like I did find that to be slow, but the good news is that it will be faster to level, at least up to the 80 marker from what we heard with Yoshida-san's presentation. So for anybody who hasn't gotten the Amaro mount yet, theoretically it should be quicker and a little bit easier for you to level with the downscaling and then some of the rebalancing that they've done as well for like experience gain in all classes. So don't worry if you haven't gotten there yet, you will be able to still catch up and it'll be fast enough.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be interesting. So that's one of the things, like I know Chris is kind of memeing on me just because I'm like, yep, I'm gonna take Reaper, through. And he's been giving
just
me
because he's like, I only have 3 days to play the game. Step 1, pick the only class that's not leveled.
The original plan was to do Reaper and Sage to 80 before jumping in to the story.
Really?
That
You were
was
gonna
the.
do both?
I was
You were
gonna
gonna
do
two?
I was gonna do 2, and then they
No.
missed
As an
the
Omni
date.
80, what is the
I had-
most time I can stall
Yeah.
at the start of Endwalker?
I had that was my plan, and then they delayed the expansion. And the reason is that I had time. We were going into the holidays, for Thanksgiving, and it was like, oh, I can take
Oh.
that time off. And the best thing about that week, even still, the fact that I went and turned off my time off, but I wasn't able to get that for December because I've got deadlines. Larry, you and I work in the same industry, like how it is.
Yes,
so
it's difficult. Yes, when
and so
things
it's like
too quickly. Yeah,
right. And everybody, bad news for like, hey, I'm glad I pissed off all these clients who pay their bills on time.
Right.
Like that's a bad idea. But I'm sitting here, so okay, pivot, right? But originally it was like from two reasons. It's good to be like a content creator when you in 14 when you're playing the story and you're not the first, because no one's hanging out with you to have the story spoil, right? So it's like
right.
the idea is like, oh, I can get Reaper to Sage to 80, and that will give everybody plenty of bandwidth to get ahead of me. So if they do want to hang out, I'm not ruining anything for anybody, right? Like that's a fear that we have. Like I want to stream it because I want to have that archive for people, like, or for me. Like
absolutely,
as a 1.0 player, I regret. I mean, streaming wasn't a thing at 1.0, but like I wish I had my 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. I wish I had that just on my YouTube that I could just pop in and be like, cool, there it is. And so I don't want to miss that with Endwalker, because if we got another 10 years, which Yoshi P says we do, plus, I want to be able to look back in a decade and be like, gosh, remember that? How much have we like learned from this? What has changed in this regards? Look how young I was. Look at my beard was still red. I assume that, hopefully it'll still be red in 10 years.
It was green later.
It was green. Yeah, because I have like, now he's colorblind and he only sees green and red. It's Christmas all the time. But yeah, like that's that's what I'm hungry for, and that's what I want to do. And so now it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do Reaper, which also Chris's thing is like, aren't you gonna finish the game on the class you started? And it's like,
I just wondered, just as a thought exercise, would you use the phrase thought
thought exercise?
You have one chance to finish a finale. Whenever you got onto this, there were people who started Shadowbringers a month ago and they're trying to be an Endwalker on day one. Some of them are doing it because they're insane. And some of us have been here since like 1.0, and I came in 2.0, and so like there's been a process. But wherever it was, you started with a job. I started with Black Mage, and you only get to go through your finale for the first time one time. The beauty of this, what Yoshi P has said, the reason I told people so far in advance that this was the wrap up is so that they could be prepared. They could have any raid stories they wanted done. They could be caught up. They could invite their friends, like, so that you're told that this is the finale and it's not just curtain drops and you're like, oh my God, that was it. And so you're ready. You've set aside the time. You're not, you're like, well, I really want to like make sure there's no distractions. So the question is, if it's that poetically beautiful, it's going to be something that we're going to remember as a gaming moment to cherish for the rest of our gaming careers. What class do you press accept on the final quest?
What do you say, Rook? What do you say?
I mean, I think it's up to everybody, right? Because what matters to you? What moves you emotionally, or that you enjoy? It can fall into so many parameters, you know what I mean? Some people, I think, will feel great nostalgia for that original class they started with. I did think I had a moment where most of the game, up until Vieira roughly, I actually played just the same character. And right before Vieira, I Fantasia'd for the first time. And then at Vieira, I Fantasia'd to a Vieira. And like, I had not Fantasia'd before that. I hadn't drastically overhauled my character. So I had this moment where I was like, maybe I want to go back to the OG. Like, maybe I want to be on that character I started this journey with, that I have all these old screenshots of, like me in my down comforter baby gear, like looking like a disaster. I was like, maybe I want to go back to that. Maybe I do want to be on White Mage, because that was like the first one and the healer that I really fell in love with initially. So I thought about it, but then I think there are other things that matter. You know what I mean? Like, Vieira have always been a race that I really loved, and Fran's always been one of my favorite characters. And with the, hopefully with all the new hairstyles and stuff that we're getting, I was like, oh, but maybe I do kind of want to just stay on this character. And most of my recordings and stuff that I've put on YouTube have been from that character's perspective. So to me, I was kind of like, yeah, I think I will stay with her. And then maybe I'll do one of the new classes because I feel like they might visually kind of embody her more. And that will feel more satisfying to me if there isn't like a dissonance between class and character. But for everybody, those qualifiers, I think, are just going to be different. What just makes them feel like it has more depth or more emotion, you know? I don't know. How about everybody else? What are you all doing?
What do you think, Larry?
Well, this is I really like this. I like both of your inputs on it. So I feel like the same way, and a lot of it is I think it's really important, first of all, the job that you pick and the character that you go through as. Some people view their character in like a RP scenario, right, where like they're not you, but you know, it's this character that you identify as and you're going through the story. And some people identify the character as them. That's where I fall into. I view my character as an extension of myself, right? And so when I started the game, I was a black mage, and then very early on I switched over to summoner. And then I did summoner the whole way through, right? So I am a summoner through and through. And so that's what I'm going to do. Going to finish the game on summoner. And so that's been very important to me to do the same thing. Another cool, interesting thing I thought might have been pretty awesome, and I think maybe a lot of people do this, is they do the job once they started noticing that the Warrior of Light changes jobs for every expansion, they do the expansion on that job. And I think that's a very cool, flavorful thing as well, which I probably will end up doing when I do a new game plus, because after Endwalker, I'm sure I'm going to want to do a new game plus,
like a TV show,
entire thing
immediately after the finale,
like a
watch
TV,
the pilot.
Yeah. Go back and watch the pilot again. Yes. And sometimes very interesting things happen when you do this. You know, you finish the whole story and then you go back to the first episode and what the hell, why did they show this? Right.
Yeah.
I can't believe they thought that far ahead. So yes. So
I started my first new game plus in after 5.3, and I started in Limsa. And without talking spoiler, like that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. And like I was like, what? And like there's no way you could have known. But I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
I still think since I started in 1.0, like finishing the game as a thaumaturge might really upset the people I'm grouped with.
Thaumaturge, a class, drop your soul stone.
There was no soul stones when I started, so it's like
that would be some serious
for the duties. Take your soul stone into duties, and then do all your solo quests out in the world as a thaumaturge.
Well, and that's
you
actually how. Yeah, that's how the job system actually worked in 1.0. Is that the jobs were tuned for party play. If you were a black mage, you could not solo enemies in the open world. You would just get destroyed. You had no ability to heal. You had like, and yes, you have to hit them and kite them, and like it was that's how you played. But you switched to thaumaturge, and then you cross class some other skills, and boom, your survivability went through the roof. And so it was like, oh, interesting, like open world, solo play, you go with the class. But if you're in a party, if you're in a group, you want to go with the job because that's more tuned for party play. And how have we evolved since then? So it's like
throw all that away.
Yeah, well,
complicated.
Like the whole class system as well. Like once they started in Heavensward, like we're not introducing classes. Like everything's job this way forward. And it's so funny to me that every keynote they always have to say there's no base class. Like
they have to distinguish it. Yeah.
I would just think at this point that they would just say like, oh, and this one actually has a base class. Like that would be more what?
Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah.
It's particularly interesting too with Scholar and Summoner, how particularly in Endwalker, because they've already differentiated them drastically as soon as you change the job stone, but it's even more so now with Endwalker. It does it like it's very strange because Arcanist, even at the early levels, functions how Summoner does later, right? So if you start off as an Arcanist and then you get to level 30 to become a Scholar, all of your abilities just go away and you become a Scholar, right? It's so interesting how they've had to work around this, and I'm sure they deeply regret doing it that way.
Well, I mean, you can see that I think there were a lot of things that they felt like they had to thematically or for other reasons keep sort of the same about the two classes in a way that felt like maybe for a while it just like they didn't need to be affecting each other as much as they were in mentality and design. And while they are very different to actually like play and use, those weird little hangovers that like would be between them, where it didn't feel like either one could really fully realize its own truly independent, completely unique thing, because they were still constantly tracing it back to this source. So I was really excited to see the Summoner rework, and I know everybody's been talking about it, but as a heel main, I am really curious if in the long term we'll see another like a Scholar massive overhaul at some point in the future that again kind of even further separates out their identities, and like maybe something where they split those out, or if they just do away with the core job stuff entirely. It is funny that that is something that has remained in the game at all, when I think it has a bit of confusion that it carries for new players when they're like, but my friend said they're a white mage, why can't I start as a white mage? Or like, but I heard that black mage is something in this and I love it from other games. So they've obviously changed it massively over the years, but I can't help but wonder if at some point in the future they will just completely get rid of that, you know, and you will just eventually only be white mage. Or
I wonder.
I picture the pair of them in a bar getting ready for Endwalker, and the Scholar looks at the Summoner and is like, dude, I'm just worn out. It has been a long journey. How about we both agree that we're going to do the minimum requirements for the next expansion? You know,
Summoner's like, yeah,
and Summoner's like, totally. And they shake on it. They're best buds. They've been friends forever. Yeah. And then Scholar walks in. Summoner's got a whole new pet UI. And he's like, gotcha.
Yeah.
What's
Summoner bird.
I learned to run faster. That's all I did. There's no prep. I've been jogging in the morning. That's
getting up doing some jogs in the morning, you know.
That reminds me of a meme. I saw a meme with Melee in particular about their openers, because every Melee has a way to dash into the boss on their opener, right? Ninja has the Shikuchi to dash in. Dragoon has the backflip to dash in. What's the other Melee? Not Samurai. Monk has the Monk has the shoulder tackle to dash in.
They don't anymore.
But but at the time, and then Samurai has nothing, right? So the image was just showing all of what they did, and then Samurai is just Usain Bolt running. It's just sprint run in. Poor Samurai.
How do you guys like how do you come down off Endwalker? Like when it's all said and done, what is y'all's process? Like for me, to give an example of the question, at least how I would answer that, is that I know after stream I'm usually like just charged. I'm expecting to crash after this.
I've lit both engines on fire. This will be fine. And now down the plane goes. We are gonna party on this thing all the way to the ground.
I mean, it's funny because I think we talk a lot about our excitement with new expansions, but it's less common that you hear people talk about, I think, just the toll it takes on you. Sorry, we live in the city and we have a lot of traffic going by. So if you hear people honking in agreement outside the window, that's what's happening right now.
You're like, that's right.
Endwalker.
Like,
honk, yeah, window that says honk if you love Final Fantasy XIV.
Yes, that's what I've done. So you're going to hear a lot of it.
Right out there, yeah.
But it's something where like you hear a lot about the excitement, but it is a very real thing that I think there's also a lot of anxiety and stress and like exhaustion that comes with it, because you think about how monumental this thing is going to be and you're like, this is going to be the only time I have my first time through it and I want it to be perfect and I'm going to play it and I hope it's everything that I think it's going to be. And if you're a content creator, there's a whole other level of everything around it, right? Because you're over there like, this is something that personally means a ton to me, but also I have to cram so much into this time window when everybody's excited and everybody, you know, is talking about it. And how do I get all the content that I want out while also playing and enjoying it? And it is, I don't know. It's a question where I think it's just making sure you have time for yourself. And I say this for any players too, even if you're not a content creator, right? As you get through it, making sure that as you come out of that initial push and that haze, you're like, did I eat? Do I have water? I have those things next to me in theory anyway, because I was proactive and I put all that stuff out beforehand. Like, do I have time to spend with the people I haven't seen, like my partner or my pets that I haven't seen for 3 days, or maybe they've been playing with me, you know, and we haven't seen other people we need to see. So I think for me, it's always kind of like, it's different as a content creator because there's so much we're going to be doing. And with another expansion that at least those of us who play Guild Wars 2 as well have, you know, on the horizon in February, it's not like it's really going to calm down all that much.
No,
right. And the dragons.
It doesn't
Yeah. It doesn't stop. So
doesn't
I
stop.
think it's just about finding those moments, those windows, those time where you kind of recoup your own energy in whatever way gives you energy back, right? Like, you know, not just the thing that you're doing, like scrolling Twitter just because that's what you just do. And you realize at the end you feel even more tired than when you started. But like what really gives you energy back? Is it eating a good meal at night and, you know, having a nice glass of wine? Is it
Oh,
watching
yeah.
a TV show you love? Is it reading a book, going for a walk, like whatever it is? To me, it's going to be a balance of that, like getting through everything and all the hype and like riding that and knowing that like when it's done, I mean, it's done, but that's a memory that we will never have taken away from us. And to like live through this moment all together is something that even if emotionally we feel sad that it's over, it's never going to tarnish. It's something that like is such a unique, special experience in MMOs. And we all got to recoup our energy, but there's a brand new, fresh horizon waiting for us. And it's going to be just as amazing to set foot on that first step of that journey as it was, you know, 10 years ago when a lot of people began. So it's bittersweet, it's stressful, it's anxious, but take care of yourselves, you know, be excited, be hyped, make sure you take care of your body enough that when you get through it, you're not going to just pass out and be dehydrated or anything, but it's going to be awesome.
What about you, Larry?
I always do a shopping trip before an expansion. You see, I always would go to the supermarket and grab some edible food that I can eat that doesn't take much work and time to do. Because again, while the expansion comes out, it's wake up, play the game, go to bed. So because I want to get through it as quick as possible for some reason, instead of savor it, I guess. Maybe part of that is I want to binge it because it's just fun to binge, and second of all, I want to avoid spoilers because you know if you take too long, you're gonna get spoiled on Twitter.
Yes,
eventually it's gonna happen.
It's inevitable.
So,
like I told Julius, like I don't want to have to avoid the internet for weeks.
Yeah,
like
so you got to do it.
Because I was like, because then I don't want to be sitting here being stressed. Like, okay, all right, like I maybe I'm a little bit OCD. I haven't, not saying I'm diagnosed with anything, but it's that like when I get an idea in my head, it's one of the things that like Chris has complimented me on. It's like, like, man, Brian just like you set him in a direction and he just gets it done. The problem when what you don't end up seeing is like this, like I'll be present, but I'm not here. Like it's like mentally, I'm like, all right, I gotta get this, and I'm like, there's this, like my wife's like, there's this man just pacing through the house, murmuring and
murmuring. Yeah,
murmuring.
I get that. I get that.
I don't often show it, but like, does anybody know what a flapper is? Like this is what essentially I was called like when I was a kid. Like my hands and stuff like that. Oh, that feels so good. It feels really good. And but what I've evolved to, because as an adult, that doesn't look good to be like, just so like it evolves into this like kind of this hand, stuff. So I can you'll see me do this, and it's like I'll just get like kind of where my hands like are all just kind of shaking and excited and whatnot. So it's like she'll see me just walking around the house like.
That's so funny because I don't do that, but we call it the dramatic theater kid sigh because I think because I did so much theater and voice, right? That they're like, breath is the core of your being. Project. So I didn't like learn to express it that way, but Bebop will laugh at me, my partner, because same thing. When I am like in a project, in a zone, I am set on accomplishing this thing, playing the expansion, whatever it is, I will just walk around the house and every few paces it'll be
too dramatic.
And Bebop's like, did something happen? And I'm like standing there with a handful of potato chips just like I'm like, no, I just breathing. I'm thinking about stuff. My brain's somewhere else. I didn't even know I was doing it.
To log in or to not log in, that is the question.
Apparently that's called stimming. Chad is saying
what's
Glenn
up,
and Denmo are talking about us calling it stimming. That's an I didn't know that it was called that. I think I just pace around a lot, and Eva's like, what are you doing? Are you looking for something? I'm like, no, I'm just thinking. Like I just walk.
I get to where the to-do list gets so big that all I can do is add to it, and like I'm not starting it. So it's like it's 10 things, and so I'm like running through it. I'm running the 10 things. I don't want to forget them, so I'm just saying them in order maniacally. And then I'm like, well, if I'm going to do those 10, I should do the 11th thing. So then I'm saying them in order so I don't forget 11th thing. And then I'm doing the 12th thing. And then like a day later, I'm just like sitting there like just stressed. And I'm just like, I sit on the couch. Then I get up and I go to the kitchen. I realize I don't need anything. I sit back down.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, there's 14 things on the list. Actually, it's 15. It's 15 things on the list. And like, she's like, have you done any of them? No.
No, I'm just worrying about everything on the list.
No, I've spent 20 hours worrying about a 10-hour long list. Like, just do something. Just start. Yeah. And so it just like and so it's even worse when there's something like this. When I have like a big flight coming up, like an international flight, something that cannot be missed, or like a launch. Like my biggest fear over the last weekend, the fear that like I've been so tired, and then I take like a midday nap, and then I come back to work, I wake up and I picture that I'm like sitting here and I'm recording a video with OBS up, and I picture this nightmare where I've accidentally hit go live and Chad is silently watching me work, and somebody goes, I guess it's weird that he's not in Endwalker since it already released. Like that's been my fear. Just like, what? You just not going to cover it. You're just not going to even play it.
Yeah.
What? Like you missed it.
Funny.
It's
Larry, I love that you mentioned like prepping ahead of time before the storm hits. I think that's so important.
Clean.
It's such a good tip. Yes. And like, you know, I mean, even if you're making that list, just like getting one thing that you've got done. I mean, getting any kind of snacks that are decently healthy for you, trail mixes, stuff like that, fruit, veggies.
Healthy.
Okay, look, I'm going to be the healthy advocate here because I'm not allowed to have chips in this house anymore because I am a notorious chip eater during stuff like this. I will eat like 5 bags in one day, which I've got to be real. At a certain point, your body can't take it anymore. Your body's like, this is delicious, but also I'm going to make you regret every single chip you've eaten.
Salads are really good. I've been told to have some granola and banana at the desk. And I was like, okay, that's actually a really good tip.
Yeah.
We were doing the live letter and they kept going. Remember the ear thing? Like I'm absolutely trying that out, but it's weirding me out the whole time. But we're sitting here and then Chris is like, I'm visibly falling asleep because my kids got me up at 3 a.m. So this is 24 hours and we're still going. And I'm just like, and they're talking about something that I'm like, I'm sorry, I could care less about whatever they're, because it has nothing to do with the game at this point. They're just riffing. And Chris was like, just go make a quick snack. And so then I did, and I was like, oh man, I'm back. And that was great because then we were able to kind of go into the podcast and summer.
Salads, sandwiches, assembly meals, something where you can make Tupperware of all the different ingredients. You can open up all the Tupperware. You can throw the ingredients on, close with Tupperware, throw it all back in the fridge, and then consume it while consuming the game.
Protein bars, overnight oats, those have been lifesavers for us. Like overnight oats are the easiest thing that you can make. You can make them so easily in bulk. You can throw all kinds of stuff in there. You can like make them however you want. You can top them with fruit. You can put whatever, like Nutella, whatever you want, yogurt. Yeah, like it's
I've just gotten into the Greek yogurt recently, and it's really been great.
I think I make overnight oats the lazy way of instant overnight oats. I think I just take a cup of Chobani, the yogurt. I take some oats and I put them in there and I eat it.
We should really send this link out. We should really send this podcast link out to a Recipe Reborn real quick and just like, and what is your here's your edible plan for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker.
I mean, it's just you gotta plan for yourself to outsmart yourself with the habits you're definitely gonna have when you're doing it. You know what I mean? Just so that you make sure you get through it all okay.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's go around and any kind of final thoughts, because the girls have dance on Tuesday, so they're gonna go do that. So that's where we're getting them into that, and hopefully get soccer going on in the spring as we get back to somewhat of a normal life here in the area, ish. As it goes.
That's fun.
Yeah. The
outdoor things.
Oh yeah. I guess for me, my final thought, and then I want to go around the horn, is that right now the debate I'm having is when do I replay the whole story? Because I've been wanting to, but then with Endwalker finishing it and to have the full story, when do I make time to do that? And I don't know yet because New Game Plus doesn't give experience, and the content creator in me, this is a content creator problem. I don't think this is a problem with anybody else, but the content creator problem in me is I know I'm going to be constantly asked about when are my guides coming out? Hey, when's this coming out? Hey, when's that coming out? And I appreciate that. And the thing I had to do in Shadowbringers is I had to sit back and say, what do I want to do the most? And it was to level the job. So I took off for the raid, all right, y'all have fun. I'm just going to level. And so essentially when I think about it, I'm like, I think for me, it's going to happen after I finish leveling, because I think that's going to be something I enjoy. And then once I'm done with that, then I can go back and play the story. What about you guys?
When I think back to the most significant games in my life, when I think back to like, what's your favorite game of all time? And you kind of answer it and you have a short list that you go to depending on the context. And I think back to my favorite MMO expansions. I realized that A, I didn't know how special they were to me at the time. And B, so much of what made them special was the stuff going on outside of game. Of course, the gameplay was good, but it's very easy to go look up a video on whatever insert, whatever your favorite thing is here. And there's 1,000 videos on why that thing sucked and what could have been better about it. It's not a perfect game. Final Fantasy has not been perfect along the way. There were aspects of Shadowbringers I didn't like. But when I think back, I realize like Shadowbringers is likely going to be one of the greatest gaming experiences of my life. It will be on that list. And that is because of things in the game. That is because of things out of the game, good and bad. And like contextually, it's a really fond lens to look back at the last 2-3 years here. From FanFest going into Shadowbringers through now, that has been a really special time. And so I really just want to make sure that like Endwalker feels like Yoshi P is giving us permission to say, this is a finale. This is your chance to know that you're making the memory in that moment. Right? So you're not out with friends wishing you'd had a picture later. He's telling you, go get the camera. This is going to be one of those moments. You're going to want this. And so I think just kind of building up, going into Endwalker, it's been about like, what do I want to look back and not have a regret that I didn't take seriously, that I didn't. So I just want to really savor this moment. And I think it's a really neat experience to know that something's going to be important in advance. We get that so rarely. And so I'm just excited to be counting down the hours. I think I actually want to stay up and be logged on in Mordona when the servers go offline to see Shadowbringers come to a close. And like, it's just because like, I don't want to miss that final finale to that.
I love it. I mean, my thoughts are very similar. I think it's about savoring it. You know, there's so much rush in MMOs. And of course, everybody's going to enjoy this in different ways, right? But there's so much rush in MMOs to, you know, be the first person that's done it, to get the thing before anybody else, to go through it, to blast your way through so that you can consume everything. And like we said earlier, there is really a joy to be found in that, because when you think about the amount of things that anymore captivate you so intensely that you just cannot stop playing or you cannot stop watching, it's probably a much shorter list than it may have been, you know, when you were a kid or things like that. So of course, like playing through it and consuming it all is amazing, but it's been so interesting to me as I've gone more and more into lore videos. I've gone back to dungeons that I've even run 100 times and thought that I appreciated, and gone into exploratory mode, or, you know, gone in with, you know, party unsync and like everything, and just like had an amazing time running around these environments, noticing details that I never even noticed before, capturing screenshots of things that I was like, holy cow, I didn't even realize this is what it looked like. I queue into this every day and I didn't even realize this one shot was here. So I would encourage everybody, remember that like there's so much to do, but just like Chris was saying, there's so much to do, and it's a great thing. It's a great place to be in. And, you know, don't feel as though you just have to blast it so that you can be the first person to talk about it. Like, take your time in every zone, run around with friends, explore some of the fates, do some of the things, draw out that unforgettable finale weekend with every little ounce that you possibly can, every second that you can, to just enjoy it and to meet up with people and to enjoy the silly, I don't know, impromptu concert that's happening, that because a whole bunch of people are gathered around, or, you know, everybody's on their mounts and they're in some map doing something ridiculous, or just like really, really cherish those memories that you're making and go through it all. I think that's a big reminder for myself too, that I want to, you know, balance not only my experience as a content creator, but also my experience as somebody who's just enjoying this finale. So it's always a reminder that you've got more than enough time. The only thing that you will probably regret is not taking the time to cherish it in that moment the first time through. So like just really, really enjoying and having fun and taking your own time and setting your own pace, I think is really important.
Larry?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely echo everything you guys have said about it. I'm really gonna savor it. I'm gonna go through with my tradition of going through with my wife and two of our friends who we've gone through since around we're born, right? So it's gonna be very emotional. It's gonna be very bittersweet. I'm really gonna enjoy it. 14 has meant like so much to me in my life. Like it's affected my life immensely, right? So just the story of all of that culminating now and realizing like, holy crap, we're actually going to finish that this weekend is kind of crazy to think about. So yeah, I just want to savor it and enjoy it. And there's always going to be like those fun little moments that you get that you remember from each expansion, like Raptor Jesus or Raubon Extreme. You know, like there's always these little things that happen on a launch that the community talks about, and you can be there now this time, where everybody who's watching now, you can be there and experience your own Raubon Extreme, whatever that's going to be, right? So it's all very exciting, and I'm glad we're all in it together. It's like we're all watching the finale of a show together. It's going to be great. Yeah, maybe I need a tattoo. I might get a Final Fantasy XIV tattoo because you know it's so important to me.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's love right there. As a freckled man, I've never been like I've been like I've got 1,000 tattoos. I just gotta ink it up and then it goes away after a while.
Make a constellation.
Oh,
But yeah,
I'm a Zeeb.
Yeah. I'm just very, very excited.
Yeah,
That's all.
well, guys, we're wrapping up the show. Thank you guys for those who are live with us at the 27 likes. That really helps out the podcast. Great free way to support shows like this. Also, thanks to Crasher for leaving us a 5-star review saying, a well-made podcast with good people just sharing knowledge and opinions. A great game. It's very enjoyable to listen to, and it feels like you're just hanging out with some friends. I highly recommend this podcast. Thank you for the review. Thanks for the 5 stars. You guys don't know, the MP3 is out. You can search Crystal Core Radio wherever you enjoy podcasts. And if you give us a rating, we might try to read it here on the air with you guys. So appreciate the support. That's going to wrap up the show. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for being awesome. Thanks to our amazing guests, Larry and Rook, for coming on for episode 100. Time for me to go take the kids to dance and help out with the family. So thanks to everybody listening, watching, and we will see you in episode 101.